Hey, hi everyone. How are you? How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to today's webinar, Citizen Science in Action. I'm so glad you're all here. Today, I'm your host, Jen Kimani from Editor Africa. And you're going to be exploring how curiosity, simple tools like iNaturalist, phone scopes, pens, notebooks can actually help us protect our river and make learning more engaging and for us to connect with our environment. So a few house rules for today. The meeting is being recorded. Please participate in the chat area. Mute yourself when others are speaking. And also, we want us to introduce your name. So this is how we're going to introduce ourselves. Your name, where you're joining from, and which is your favorite river or water body. I can start. I can reintroduce myself again. I'm Jane Kewani from EduTab Africa, and I love Museum River. So here in Kenya, this is why, because it's always find a way to keep flowing, even when it's dry, even when it's still small, it's still flowing. Okay, let's introduce ourselves through the chat. Wow, I see my name is Lazarus, joining from Nairobi. His favorite river is River Kola. It's a seasonal river in Makueni and Machakos. That's interesting. I see we have Faith from Nairobi. Your favorite water body is River Taboga, near your home. Phil, everyone, welcome. Let's continue introducing ourselves through the chat. Yes, so we have Brian from Kisumu County. River Ridge is your favorite. It's near your home, and because it's helpful in irrigation and also a very tasty fish. Thank you so much. You're all welcome. We see I've also went River Kaiti. We have Dak from Kelly School, South Sudan. Your favorite river is Blue Nile that passes nearby Wow City. Thank you so much. Feel welcome. Now, I have a question for you before you start. So, when you see a river, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? When you see a river, Blue Nile, when you see a River Ridge, when you see Kaiti River, when you see a River Taboga, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Oh, Brian sees life. I see a river, I see life. That's interesting. Oh, swimming and stories from my childhood. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually life indeed there. For me, I see peace. There's just calmness when being around the river. So for me, I just seek peace. And yes, we are all okay. We are all connecting, you see, from our childhood, from how we relate, from farming, from life. There's that kind of relationship that it always has between ourselves and the nature. Our brand also says therapy. That's interesting. Okay. Now coming back to our big question of today is, can citizen science bridge the gap between classroom learning and environmental stewardship? What do you think? Yes, no, maybe, depends. What do you guys think? Can citizen science bridge the gap between a classroom learning and environmental stewardship? Brian says yes. Uh-huh. Lazarus says yes, it can. But I'm so curious, how though?
Thank you, Janice. I believe that citizen science can bridge the gap between the classroom learning and environmental stewardship, because citizen science allows us to involve the learners, our students, directly in collecting data. And in such a case, they will get hands-on experience on why they are supposed to be involved in environmental stewardship. They not only get to hear, but they see it while they are collecting that data. So yes, I believe that citizen science can bridge the gap.
Thank you so much, Faith, and thank you for your input. I can see Brian's hands up. Yes, say something.
Okay, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, now even from recently when we were having the event, I came to realize that the community for our parents, they can really help us because some of them can help you trace back the origin of the river or even how the river came to formulate that name. Then again, secondly, things like irrigation, no, let me say erosion. We go to class, we learn erosion. But then we have those parents of ours whom we can never blame them. But maybe they are misusing that river and they don't know because they lack that information. But then with us, we've gone to school, so we can come back, we give them civic education, we capacity build them. Then in turn, they can also tell us because you can realize like our river, it is a place that is very deep. If you're not careful, you can even drown. And some of them can even locate it when the river is full, unlike us who were born and never knew such. So we can basically use them to have this win-win situation in learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that input. So it's basically like giving them the right tools, it. Okay, thank you so much for that. I see Lazar says it's not really a civic duty, but a fun and engaging way to learn and take action in protecting our nature. And thank you so much for that, because let me start by breaking down what citizen science is in a simpler term. So, citizen science maybe simply means that for people, me like you go take part in real scientific research. So, it doesn't really mean like you need to have a PhD or even a white lab coat or an expensive equipment for you to be a citizen scientist. No, actually you just need your sense of wonder, your phone and notebook, your friend there, having that conversation, and even sometimes even patience. Because why? You just go observe, take a picture, and you're there learning by taking the pictures, observing something, you know. Yes. So that's what you'll be doing today. We'll be exploring how citizen science is that bridge, actually, and because it's how learning jumps out of the classrooms and lands right into the nature, into the world, in whatever it's happening. So, one last question for you today. One last question. Have you ever taken a picture, also a weird looking, okay, not weird, a very cute looking insect or plants, and asked Google or even asked your fellow friend, what on earth is this? Have you ever? You can use emoji, you can react through emoji if you have. You see, we're all citizen science. We just start by, observing, getting curious, questioning what is this, and learning together. Okay. So, okay, thank you so much for that. So, looking outside your place, if you could observe one thing, what could you observe and what would it be? You can share through the chat. Yes. So, this year, we did a home river bioblitz, a HRB event. For those who are new to it, HRB, it's Home River Bioblitz. It's a global citizen science that celebrates biodiversity in and around rivers. It invites everyone from children to adults across the globe to explore their home river and record different species from plants, animal, birds, and even the microscopic life what they find. So this year, last month, every September, every third weekend of September, it's when we do this event. So for this year, we recorded over 15,000 observations worldwide. But for us here in Kenya, there were two teams, no, three across to three teams within Kenya. So, but the few Editor of Africa was part of the organizers, and we had team in Kitale, Kisumu, Nairobi, Murang'a, and we had a total of 150 observations, over 150 species. That's 189 observations, and over 191 species actually recorded by 67 participants from all these regions. And I would like for them, one person in those regions, I presume they're all here, they can just tell us what did they learn, what inspired them, and what surprised us within 3 minutes only. We can start with Nairobi.
Thank you, Janice. Hi, everyone. My name is Faith. I represented the HRB exploration in Nairobi together with a team of about 25, but was in two separate groups. The first group had young learners from age 6 to 10, and the second group had ages 10 to 16 thereabout. So to the first question, what did we learn? Oh my, we learned a lot of things. We learned how to use iNaturalist. We also explored how to use foldscopes. That was right before we went to explore the river. So we took the participants through the session where they would have an account on iNaturalist and then upload the images and identify the species that they would find along the trail. It was very interesting with our river because before we got to the river, we had to hike down a certain terrain. So along that terrain, we were observing plants, taking pictures, and getting to learn about their scientific names and their characteristics through iNaturalist. And then when we got to the river, we then got to observe the organisms that are actually inside that river. Some of the most interesting things that we got along the way were how one of the most interesting things about our exploration was the fact that the learners were very eager and very curious. And when we got to the river, they took some of the microorganisms like insects and put them on the foldscope and observed them. Something that surprised us. Were we really surprised? We were not too surprised, if that could be an answer, but we were very inspired to be environmental champions, especially because through this engagement we got to learn why it is important for us to be involved in collecting data, in learning about the environment, and ensuring that we take part in the conservation measures that are being put out. What we learned was to preserve the rivers that are around us. For example, the river that we explored is known as River Taboga. It is a tributary that joins Ruaka River, that goes and joins River Tana, I believe. I stand to be corrected. learning how these rivers progress from their tributaries all the way to where they pour to, that was an interesting thing to learn together with the young learners. It was also very interesting to learn about the activities that are influenced by these rivers around us. For instance, the communities that live around the river, you get to understand that they do farming. Most of them rely on that river for their irrigation. So it was a wholesome moment learning that if we do not conserve this river, it affects not only the microorganisms that are in that river, but it also affects the communities that depend on that river for their survival. So it was an interesting moment for us and for the young learners. And we also got to hear stories from the community around that region. And it was just a wholesome moment to understand all of that in that exploration. Yeah, that's it from me, Janice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faith, and thank you for your insights. We go all the way to Kisumu. You have 3 minutes to share with us. What did you guys learn? What inspired you? And what surprised you?
Okay, first, what was very interesting, we learned about the iNaturalist, and we also learned how to use pulse scopes. But one thing that was very interesting is that we've been staying along this river, and we've never taken time to want to know what survives in that river, how it helps us, where it comes from, and where it goes to. We've just been concentrating on fishing. When there is a lot of water, we fish, we eat the fish. Then during dry seasons, we use that water to irrigate, and we also have cows drinking that water. So we sat down with the kids and we had to learn a lot, because with me, I only had a group of kids from the very nearest primary school that borders that river. So we also came to realize that those kids were able to tell me the timeline in a year when that river dries up, because it's a seasonal one, when it dries up, and when it is always very full, and a lot of how it really helps them. So I generally came to learn a lot. Then we also had this old man who was passing by, and he was curious, and he joined us, and he was like, "Do you know how the name River Origi originated?" Then we had to sit down, and he had to give us a very long story, which was also very interesting. And what surprised me most again was that when we were starting, the kids were like, they were so bored and they never wanted it. But now, as we were going, they were interested, and they never even wanted us to finish. They were like, "When is it that you're coming again, so that we can sit down and identify?" So it was more of learning and fun. And I think the time was very short, like the way you've just given me 3 minutes to describe all that. Thank you.
I'm sorry for the 3 minutes, but yes, within 3 minutes, you have gotten a whole picture of whatever happened in Kisumu, and we're happy to at least hear and learn that you guys learned something and discovered something. And lastly, we have Kitale, before I give my final remarks. Kitale, we have Melody.
Yeah, see. Hello. So,
Hi.
thank you so much. I will begin by saying it was actually a very, very interesting day for all of us, and the kids that we worked with are still doing the things that we did. But what did we learn that time? We learned so much. I learned that the process of research can be even fun for children, and I learned how to. I also learned to do research myself, and that was good. And also using the scope was amazing. It was it was very educative. I didn't know how to do that, and we are hoping to get more time with them so that we can really learn to use them properly, because we use them for a short time, and they seem to be interesting, and the children seemed to have a lot of excitement towards that particular that particular instrument, which showed me that they could be very good at research. And then what inspired us, also their curiosity was really inspiring. They kept asking, what is this? What is this? Why does it look like this? One even asked me, can you smell the river? I said, yeah, which was also very good. It inspired us to keep working with them and talking with them. And what surprised me is that they actually learned a lot, and they could come up with a lot of information. And when it got to the drawing, their presentations were good. They really showed us that they have picked up everything we taught them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can see Lazarus has just added a few, like a good number of kids knew the local traditional names of some plants, which is very interesting because once they know the traditional name and then they later learn about the scientific names, it gives them a blow mind. And the last region I would like to hear was Moranga. We have Clementina. Can you share something like what did you learn, what inspired you, and what surprised you during the Home River Bear Blitz event you are doing? You can unmute yourself. Okay, probably she is typing. We can continue as we wait for her to finish typing. But what we learned from the three events or from our experience is we don't need to wait for for this annual event. Most of us here participants are teachers. What does it mean when you tell your student, you know what, today you're just going to learn from outside. Let's just go and observe and get to see what is going around the nature, what is there in our environment, and what can we discover. All at once, we are just going, the kids, they'll be just vibrant because they are just outside the four walls of the classroom. But apart from being there, they're like, there's that curious mind, like, what can I learn today from this plant? What can I discover? Such tools, such way is we are trying to bring it to our classrooms, because we don't only have to depend on this event, but apart from this event, can you take a moment or during a break time, walk around the school compound, walk around on your way to home with kids, or even when they're playing in the field, get to identify what different plants are there, what different animals can they see, what different insects can they see, because the whole idea of this event is for us to continue the momentum of discovering and learning together with our kids. So this is what I have to say. No, it's more like a question, not a question, but it's a question to yourself. If you're to be part of this event, not only the annual event, but to be part of this program, what's one thing that you'd love to discover in your river or outside your classroom with your students, or even within your school compound, or even your home? Okay, so we did mention what Home River Blitz. It's a global citizen science event where, people step outside to observe their home river. Apart from that, and from the stories that you have heard, we have also listened, they did become a scientist of a day during that day, which is totally fine. And, overall, you don't need to be a scientist for a day, but you need us to be a citizen scientist throughout. So it's a continuous movement. But they did also mention a few tools. One of the tools they mentioned was iNaturalist. What iNaturalist does is, it's more like a Instagram. Nowadays, we're all in Instagram or Facebook, where you just take a picture and you post it, right? So yeah, it's like an Instagram for science. So you take a picture of a plant or an insect or an animal, then upload it, and then you share it with the global community. But before sharing it, it also suggests for you what scientific name is it, or what is the scientific name for the plant, for the insect, or for the animal. So that's how iNaturalist works. And if probably I would love Faith to share the link on the chat for the iNaturalist. Then apart from that, then we have, and yes, apart from that, then you have a foldscope. A few of them shared about a foldscope. A foldscope is like a microscope. It works like a normal microscope, but it's a portable one, where so mostly it's a paper-based microscope that turns everything into a lab. So you actually see microorganism, maybe of an insect, of maybe drops of water into it, or even a cells of leaf. So let me take you, we are imagining together of how a foldscope works. We're in the field, we're near a river, and you take a drop of water and place it in a cell of, you place it in a slide for the foldscopes, and then you start observing. So when you're observing, one of the kids, together with your kids, so one of the kids, they're like wondering what is there, they want to see through the lens, what is happening, and one shouts, I can see it moving. Then you're like, okay, what is it says? What are they saying? What are they seeing it moving? And when you get closer, you just see like, yes, water has life. It has some tiny microorganisms living in water, and which you can't see with our naked eyes, but you can see it is being magnified, it's being shown through the tiny paper foldscopes. So that's how our foldscopes work. And then there were some tools. We have notebooks and pens. You just need them because you just step outside. Once you document, you note down and write something. For example, you can say like, I saw a frog under the rock because it was hot and it needed shade. That's like a story by itself, actually. And this is a kid, just from whatever he's observing, he's just writing it down, and you get a whole story about the nature. And yeah, so throughout, you just, for being a citizen science, it involves different activities, but using these simple tools that you already have, it encourages us to promote nature for our environment. So if your student could turn one of their discoveries into a story, what will be the title be? You all know your students, you all know your kids. If you're a parent, you all know your friends. I'll actually take it personal. It's yourself. If you are to turn any discovery that you've done, what will be a title of that story? You can share through the chat or unmute yourself. Let's just say citizen science at home. Thank you so much for that. Share your ideas. What could be the title of your story from your discovery? Lynette, you can share something. We have Faith saying our rivers are the real deal. Thank you so much. Mine could be, from my example, could be the frog under the stone. Anyway, so you might be wondering why this initiative, why this is a step, why Home River Bioblitz is part of a citizen science activity. Why are we doing this? One, it engages students in hands-on project. So throughout the event, students don't just read about rivers, they experience them. They collect samples, they take photos, they get to learn biology in between, like what the cells has, they get to learn about geography, they get to, to locate different plants in different areas, and even tell stories. So imagine we're a class where instead of science test, students present their own nature findings, and then tell me, how do you think that changes their motivation to learn? What do you think? How will it change? Yeah, you know what's going through your mind. It might be engaging, you're curious, maybe even proud or even creative. Yeah, actually, this is what we start observing through with our kids. They start observing, they start asking questions, and even start sharing whatever they're finding with their fellow peers. So apart from that, it also brings communities together for research, or even it unites the community, because we need we need everyone. We need our parents, we need our teachers, we need the kids themselves, we need our leaders, and we are all coming together with one goal: protecting our environment. Through, for this case, for HRB case, it's through the rivers. So you might be wondering why we're involving the communities, or why involving the communities makes environmental project more successful, right? Because it's a shared responsibilities. We have local knowledge, like in Kisumu, they get to learn about the river region, which they didn't know about. It's a teamwork. You get to learn and tell stories and share share the observation with other community, and they get to tell you from this area it was lastly seen. Maybe they saw a butterfly, and they get to tell you, oh, it has been like. It has not been seen for a while, and now you start seeing it. So it means it's coming back to life. Is there something like that possible? And lastly, we have, when you start ensuring that, when you facilitate this thing as teachers, we ensure kids are the future of environmental leaders, whereby it just starts, whereby it's like when they go to when you empower them, they become environmental stewards. They learn the skills, the confidence, and knowledge to speak for nature. They don't just say about that we need to protect the environment. They get to understand why and how we need to do this thing. And one last question. Okay, not last one, but maybe possibly a last one. What is one childhood memory that you remember that you did an outdoor experience that shaped your love for nature? You can share through the chat or unmute yourself. As we do that, let me read aloud about the experience in Moranga. So thank you so much, Clementina, for that. She is a student at Moranga, and she explored Takaya Dam. I have not discovered a river near me yet, but I learned that it's an artificial dam built during the colonialism period, and is majorly used for irrigation. She loved exploring the naturals for the first time too, and by the way, she learned the name of the dam during the HRB, which are some of the things that if we continue doing them day in, day out, we get to learn what is just right outside us. Yes. So, hi, back to my question. If you think back to your childhood, what was one outdoor experience that shaped your love for nature? Feel free to unmute or say something through the chat. Calvin Buchunjo, you can share something, one childhood memory that when you did an outdoor activity, it experienced and shaped your love for nature or for the environment. Melody, say something. Leza says, I went to Nairobi Arboretum and visited 14 Falls. Having grown up in the city, it was a great way to explore nature. Thank you so much for that, Lazarus. And for those people who might not be knowing about Nairobi Arboretum, it's a park with lots of trees, which are labeled their scientific name and the local name. 14 Falls, it's a good exploration of rivers and seeing the falls themselves. Thank you so much, Lazarus, for that. Okay, thank you. And what we see is that it impacts from our childhood memory, it impacts the citizen science and create an experience that shape our lifelong values. Now it's a challenge. Today I've been giving you lots of challenge. That's because I love challenges. So a challenge for everyone. So whether you're at home or school, what's one thing your student or you yourself you could observe this week and learn about it, or even tell a story from your observation. So you can ask yourself, what is it doing here? It could be it could be a plant or an insect or even a river probably. And then you'll be asking yourself several questions like, what is it doing here? Why is it here? What story does it tell? Then from your observation, take a photo or even draw it or even write a story and then or record a sound. Then you share it to your social medias and tag EduTab Africa with what did you learn about whatever you observe and what questions came up for you. And then also you can share with a friend or even a fellow kid or even the whole class together. Okay? Yes. And also you can be more creative. You can give it a name like, I saw Mr. Dragonfly or even a river god or a queen bee. Yeah, so you're welcome to do that challenge and tag us for that. Thank you so much. Lezo says, I think my love for nature came about watching National Geographic documentaries about nature. That's interesting and that's amazing. Mine has been interested in bugs that live in the soil. That's amazing. Thank you, Melody, for that. And so it's time for question and answers. Anyone who has a question or an answer, feel free to ask. You can unmute yourself or type through the chat. I have a question. So what's one thing that inspired you today? Only one thing inspired you today. You can type in the chat as you wind up for today. Yes, Lazarus.
Yeah, thank you so much, Janice. One of the things that has really inspired me today is the fact that there is a lot of diversity in what we're able to learn with our rivers. All of us went to a river. Maybe there are those who went to a dam, but the dam is as a result of a river. But we realize the lessons we learned are very diverse. There are those who became much more aware about their surroundings or their general environment. Some of us were able to see the interactions between nature and human economic activities. A good example is when we were in Taboga. One of the things that we noticed is the river there is used by the community for farming. Yeah. So you find that we had people who have these small, let me call them dams, where you dig it within your farm, then you can use it to irrigate your farm. And then you get to hear a story from Brian from Kisumu, who was talking about learning about the history. And it reminds me of a previous experience we had where we wanted to learn more about the history, maybe why that river was given that specific name, and what are the communities around there saying about that particular river. So being able to see how important a river is, and from what we're able to learn, the stories we're able to bring from there, and realizing that we have the power to resolve, let's say, the issues that we have around our river, around nature, and even how applicable it is even in our learning and in our curriculum in general. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lazarus, for that. Yes, it's the diversity part of it is so rich in this because different regions is actually it's so different from Nairobi, is so different from Kitale, and it's also so different from Kisumu. So yeah, at least that those ideas we got to share and we got to learn from that. That was amazing. I can see Faith saying, seeing everyone here sharing about stories about their rivers. Yeah, that was amazing getting to hear from different regions in Moranga even. That was amazing. And what you are drawing from all this is that, yes, citizen science is a bridge between learning, classroom learning, and also environmental stewardship, because one, we doesn't have to learn well when you're inside the four walls of the classroom, but still when you go outside, you get kids get more curious. They want to discover. They want, you just allow them to explore on their own and get to learn different things on their own, and then after that, can they share it? That's making them citizen scientists in the making still. Yes. So any other question or a comment or a suggestion? Okay, so thank you so much. It doesn't end here. We have a series of webinars every month. So you're welcome to join EduTab community to get in the links, our WhatsApp group, sharing the links of everything and getting alerts of when the events are happening, and also getting to connect with different communities members, talking about citizen science, the outdoor learning together with their kids, sharing at the same platform. Also, I've also shared a survey on the chat you can fill in. And also there is a link again on iNaturalist app. So make sure through the weekend when you're doing the challenge, download the app from Play Store, get to observe any insect or bird, and then share it on your social media and tag us.
The question was, how can we incorporate this in our daily lives? It's a question to everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. How can we incorporate home river bioplates in our daily lives?
I think the best way we can incorporate HRB in our daily lives is by ensuring that we interact with our environment as much as we can. Go out, explore the environment around you, see the things that you ignore on normal circumstances. And by that you can be able to observe a little bit more when you allow yourself to be in nature more often.
Thank you so much. Fine. That's a good response. Yeah, it can be food for thought. Yeah, sure, that can happen. How to organize a HRB. So this is how you do it. Just step outside, go near a river, your home river. Take a moment, take pictures about different species of plants, insects, or any organism living there within the river or around or along the rivers. And from there, after taking the pictures, post them on iNaturalist. You can test the water's quality, the river quality, get to learn about the river from what's the cultural story about the river, where does the river end to, or where does it start from, what can you say about that river, and how best can you protect that river in terms of creating awareness within our environment, within our community. You can do it alone, or you can do it with friends, family. It's open to everyone. So any day you feel like you want to go to learn or stay within your river or the environment, just do that. And I want to appreciate everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of this webinar today. And let's keep observing. Let's keep asking the questions, and let's keep protecting our rivers and our environment.